What's up, guys? This is Acid Roots. I'm going to review Michael Jackson's classic album Thriller. Now, really, the standard review process that I go through it's not even going to fit that because this album has exceeded expectations in almost every way possible. So, really, automatically, this record, if you want to say it's a perfect score of a 10, you can say that. But, all the stuff it's done, all the Grammys it's won, all the millions of records it sold, all the chart appeal, and all the, sheer mainstream and just, recognize easily how recognizable it is should let you know that this is a staple in music. Now, it came out in November of 1982, and since then it's gone on to be 30 times platinum in the United States, which basically means it sold 30 million copies. Now, it's actually sold over 65 million across the world, so that's a pretty fair, that's a tenth of a billion right there, just about. So I'll let you know. And so with this record, Michael Jackson was kind of unhappy with how Off the Wall went, which was his record of the 70s, and by that point I feel like that album probably was the calm before the storm, this album being the storm, and then everything else kind of being consecutive ones. So really, I'm not sure of what happened in 1980, 1981 or so, whether or not Michael Jackson was a my foot is falling asleep. Uh, whether or not Michael Jackson was a household name just yet, but it really only took a few months after this album came out for that to happen. It basically ran things from 1983 most of 1984. It basically lasted until 1987 when Bad came out. So what that meant was, normally when an artist takes off 5 years in music, this is a bad thing. Usually, this is where they lose appeal, and the follow up record just does not get to the success that the predecessor did. But that was not the case, just because he didn't really need to do anything. That was the thing. So this album had 7 singles out of its 9 songs. So that's basically you damn near know every song on the album. So I'm gonna get into the singles, and we'll talk a little bit more about this album as well. So the first one was "The Girl Is Mine," and this is kind of a duet with Paul McCartney. And they had another song, but this one was actually recorded in the spring of 1982. So they had another record that showed up on one of Paul McCartney's albums, but this came out then, and it was released as the first single. Now, this song is more kind of soul music, it seems like, which is kind of eerie for Paul McCartney to be on that, but it worked. This is not the most energetic song, especially for the 80s, looking at energy in the 80s compared to energy in the 2010s. Uh, there's, I think, songs like Thriller and Pretty Young Thing and Wanna Be Starting Something have, disco pop energy, but this song is kind of R&B as to that time, and there's at least one or two other songs that are like that out of the remaining 9 songs. So, as I thought, I probably would have to listen to this song more, but it really shouldn't. I mean, it is R&B. The next one is Billie Jean. This is one of them, kind of one of these songs that is a household name. One of the reasons for it, and has nice drums on the song. I definitely, you hear it almost immediately. It's just catchy, has that real catchiness to it. And I actually thought that they released Thriller first, but I guess they did not. I mean, this is one of the songs Michael Jackson singing on it. It's just, you hear it and you think, yeah, this guy can sing. The next one is Beat It. This is one of the songs I like best off this record. Has guitar in the song. Once again, the singing is pretty recognizable. I mean, you can basically follow along. That's the thing about the singing. You can follow along with the singing. It's not so much you want to listen to it, but you actually want to join in. So, Michael Jackson has these songs. That this is another song that hit #1 on the Billboard in America. Wanna Be Starting Something is one of these kind of popish type songs that I was talking about. This one I think more so uh, than Billie Jean. I'd say Thriller and Pretty Young Thing and Wanna Be Starting Something are the most club oriented songs. Supposing what club music was like back in the 80s, I'd say that these are definitely the ones that did it. And, I think you'll enjoy this. Human Nature kind of switches things up. That one happens to be, to me, it seems as if it's more of a kind of introspective song. It doesn't really have a feel of kind of soul and uh, relationship type music, but just something for everyone in case there's that complaint, oh, this album is too inward or outward focused. Well, there you go. Pretty Young Thing is basically almost like Beat It or Thriller Part 2. So I didn't have a problem with that song. This is actually one of the best songs, in my opinion, on here. And it's one that I want to listen to a lot more. I've known about this song, but I just haven't listened to it as much. So I mean, Billie Jean I've listened to quite a bit, and I think Beat It also. But yeah, I think Pretty Young Thing is basically going to be up there with some more of those. And the remaining two songs that are not singles, I'm going to talk about those also. The Thriller was the last single released from the album. Now this is one that kind of has a Halloween theme. It had the zombies in the music video and that sort of thing. So that one kind of stands as like the music video being the most recognizable, but the song is pretty catchy. I mean, it's just like Beat It, it's right, or not, or Billie Jean is just right there. So, you got that. And the last two songs, Baby Be Mine, that one is another song like Billie Jean. These are hit songs, and then The Lady in My Life is the other kind of soul music song, just like The Girl Is Mine. So, really, as far as thinking for people who are more fine wine type people, there are songs on here that you can just kick back. You don't have to be up, moving, dancing, that sort of thing. It's just relaxation type music. And I'm glad that this album is just more upbeat. That's the thing about it, is it's really a hot ticket, and it has the kind of consensus that is good. So I'm losing my train of thought. But so that's basically the whole record. For the rest of the part, I wanted to mention that this album was executive produced by Quincy Jones. So some of the people that Michael Jackson might have actually, had assistance from, that, you can go to Wikipedia and look up the entire biography of what Michael Jackson, the process of it, but some of the things was that he was kind of disappointed, and he had inspiration to really do well. Apparently, he could not get a Rolling Stone cover, and he wanted more recognition than he had. And Quincy Jones was going to help him. He was going through making songs with Mick Jagger and Freddie Mercury from Queen. So he was hitting some big names out of the 80s. So this was basically, when you look at the albums of the 1980s, this is one that makes it into any music conversation, and probably should. Now, I don't know all of these albums. I was not alive in the 80s, but it's pretty simple to actually say, okay, you got to have this album, you got to have this one. I possibly throw Marvin Gaye in there. I'd probably throw some Queen in there. I'd probably throw, who else? Maybe a Janet Jackson in there, and Cyndi Lauper, some of these people. But that is, that shows exactly what Thriller did. So as it stands, this music is not outdated. You can still listen to it now. You can listen to an R. Kelly record or a Mariah Carey record, but this is actually it. Yeah, it's just not outdated. So the social score is obviously going to be the same as the classic score, just because 7 singles, you should be able to find several songs out of the 9, and plus the 2 songs that weren't released as singles are still as popular. So whole album. So, all right, subscribe for more fun. Michael Jackson's Thriller by Acid Roots. Review by Acid Roots.